was going to make a video about Upside Foods and their recent victory, but then I figured, why don't I just make a clean meat video? I've talked so much, so positively over the years about clean meat, but I've never made a dedicated clean meat and veganism video. So here we go. For those who aren't familiar with clean meat, it could go by clean meat, cultured meat, cell-based meat, slaughter-free meat, lab-grown meat, cultivated meat. I'm not sure what we're settling on. I think it's cultivated maybe, or cell-based. Clean meat just means meat made in a lab from animal cell lines. So it's not like a pea burger. It's actual meat, minus the slaughter. They start by getting stem cells from an animal, in Upside Foods' case, from chickens or fertilized chicken eggs. They feed the cells, they make them all comfy so they'll grow, and then they harvest the final product. That's it. It's that simple. Obviously, it's not that simple. It's very complicated. Some argue so complicated, so complex that it's not even worthwhile, but I'll talk about that later. If you want a lot more detail on the whole clean meat process, definitely check out this Good Foods Institute explainer. Like I said, the cell line starts with an animal, and that's whether you're making meat or an animal byproduct like milk. How do you get the cells? In Perfect Day's case, they make the animal-free whey. They got their whey making DNA from a pre-existing database, so they didn't have to interact with a cow or any other animal at all. But that's not the norm. The norm is biopsying a live animal, and this is not just a one-time thing. Although Future Foods, now Believer, they all end up changing their names, they say that for them it is a one-time thing. I couldn't find any industry standard on how much or how often. Most meats say that they get a peppercorn size amount from cows, but I'm not sure how often they do this. One paper suggested every 3 months. Again, Upside Foods gets their stem cells from chickens or fertilized chicken eggs. So eggs, like from a backyard hen, right? That's right. And the cow, she's like living her life, all the life. She's like at a sanctuary, right? And when she gets too old to be harvested, which does appear to be a thing even for harvesting stem cells, they're gonna let her live, right? They're not gonna, right? I don't know, which is the most frustrating thing about all of this and about researching all of this. Companies are very secretive about their cell lines, which makes sense. These are companies, they have investors. They would likely get in big trouble if they started sharing all of their proprietary information. A lot of these companies are acquiring their cell lines themselves. They're putting lots of time and resource into this. If they go and share all of that information, investors will probably be pretty unhappy, might even sue. Now, luckily, this will all likely change at some point. For one thing, a lot of the people working on clean meat do so for animal welfare reasons, or that's at least one of the reasons they do it. They want the whole process to be animal-free. And also from a business standpoint, the whole process can be streamlined. Again, it's very complex. I talked about age, but there are other things that affect the final product as well. Sex, location of the biopsy, rearing conditions. So it's no surprise you have clean meat companies like Mosa Meat trying to genetically engineer cell lines. And nonprofits like Good Food Institute working on a cell repository that anyone can access. A big worry among vegans has been, what are these cells going to be grown in? Historically, it's been FBS, or fetal bovine serum, so blood taken from the fetus of a pregnant cow after she's slaughtered. Clearly unethical. And incredibly expensive. Using FBS makes bringing cultured meat to market virtually impossible. So of course, clean meat companies have developed animal-free mediums, including Upside Foods. And according to GFI, no clean meat company will go to market using FBS. It will only be used in the research and development phase. Again, makes sense. It's so expensive. It's just not possible. A few years ago, PETA wrote a pretty scathing article about Impossible Foods saying they are not vegan because they killed 188 rats in order to get approval, not really approval, but a no questions letter from the FDA. If you're going to sell clean meat in the United States, you really want this letter. Basically, you send proof, you send your assessment of your product saying, hey, this is how we make our clean meat, this is why it's safe. You send that to the FDA and hopefully you get back no further questions. We have no more questions about the safety of your product, i.e., it's probably safe. Part of that proof that you send to the FDA, unfortunately, involves animal testing. Impossible Foods tried to do this without, but no. And this was the big news for Upside Foods. They got their no questions letter, which means they definitely tested their product on animals. Perfect Day Whey, the non-animal whey I love so much in Brave Robot ice cream. Yep, they got theirs too. Now, as many vegans love to point out, this is voluntary. They can sell their product without this letter, without this kind of soft approval from the FDA. But number one, they're going to be limited as far as where they can sell because many major companies, like all the big companies, require it. And number two, by not getting it, they put themselves at risk for sometime in the future, the FDA deciding the product is unsafe, that it's adulterated, and removing it from shelves, in which case the company would then have to perform the testing anyway if they want to sell the product again. So to summarize, we have live donor animals for the cells, we have dead donor animals for the medium, and we have dead rats for the approval. I'll tackle the last one first, since I talked about this in the Impossible Burger video. Upside Foods is not continually testing on animals. It was a one-time thing to get this approval. It's done. It still resulted in dead animals. I don't know how many, but certainly it did, which is terrible, but it's done. Second, if you don't want to support Upside Foods or any of these other clean meat companies because of this testing, then you should really reevaluate some of the plant foods you consume. Pea protein, oat protein, rice protein, they all received this no questions letter before going to market, which means animal testing. Now, the first one, donor animals, not great. You know, I implied that they're all coming from factory farming, but again, I have no idea. I swear I remember one company had a page and they had like a picture of a cow, I think, and they were like, this is Betsy the cow. This is where we get our stem cells from. This is who we biopsy. She lives at a sanctuary or something. Maybe I dreamt that. I don't know, but I swear I remembered it and I tried to find it. Like there aren't that many clean meat companies. I should be able to find it, so I think I dreamt it. Mosa Meat gives a little bit more information. They get theirs from Limousin cattle. This is cattle used for beef. They say on their website, instead of heading for the freezer, the cows are free to roam the fields once we've collected a sample of cells. The cows that they are sampling, I guess, are kept alive instead of being slaughtered. Okay, for how long? Again, there seems to be a decline with aging. Even in Upside Foods' own submission to the FDA, there's very little mention of the biopsy beyond just like, we did a biopsy. Again, these are companies first and foremost. Many of them, if not all of them, have investors. So I get it. Intellectual property, you gotta protect it. Okay, it still sucks, right? And, you know, this was written over a year ago, so hopefully that's changed since then. Hopefully some companies have shared their cell lines with GFI. GFI does have a bunch, but it looks like they come from institutions, not companies.
And the big benefit here to me is that presumably if they're all sharing cell lines, they wouldn't need to acquire another no questions letter, right? Every single clean meat company wouldn't have to get one and have to perform animal testing in order to get that soft FDA approval. Maybe not. I mean, hopefully now that Upside Foods has been approved, any other company producing cell-based chicken wouldn't feel the need to seek that letter and so wouldn't have to perform yet another study on animals. I don't know.
Finally, fetal bovine serum. So it's not being used on the product by the time it's being sold to us, by the time we can actually buy it and eat it, but it was likely used in the process of making that product. So vegan or not, my thoughts, because there is some subjectivity to this, I think. Does it contain animal products or not? Obviously, it's not vegan in that very bare bones kind of silly sense of veganism, I think. But in the important sense of veganism from an ethical standpoint, no, I don't think it's vegan. Not because of the animal testing. In that case, a lot of products would not be vegan. I think that would be pretty silly. Possible and practicable, as far as is possible and practicable. Do I need to eat Upside Foods chicken? No. Is it easy for me to avoid this product? Yes, it's quite easy. Now again, there is some subjectivity to this, and I think someone could argue that the FBS is no longer being used, much like the animal testing, and so it's not really an issue. It's still vegan. I think you'd have a hard time, though, justifying the source unless you are, it's literally a cow at a sanctuary and you're biopsying a cow every few months. I mean, for myself, I just can't justify that. Even if it were a cow at a sanctuary, living her life, and it's minimally invasive, as they keep telling us over and over again, which is true, but it's still cutting into a cow so that I can eat meat. It just is a little selfish to me. And chicken eggs, Upside Foods, that's sometimes what they're using, I guess, in their assessments to the FDA. They say chicken eggs. How many chicken eggs were they from? And I don't like chicken or beef anyway, so it's pretty easy for me to say, nah, not vegan, not for me. But on a general level, for other people, I'm a consequentialist first, and reducing harm to animals stems from that. Veganism stems from that. It's just an easy way for me to eat, an easy way to identify, but it's not always the answer. I think clean meat is a good exception. Some animals will be used, some will be killed in the process of making this product, but many, many more could and likely will be saved. And this is all based on the current iteration of clean meat, of Upside Foods and other products, the little that we know about these products, right? Even their websites explaining like, hey, learn more about clean meat. It's so minimal, it's so bare bones. But anyway, I don't doubt that at some point in the future, when clean meat is actually a presence in the market, when we have multiple clean meat companies with multiple products on the market, it will likely be very different. I wouldn't be surprised if FBS isn't used at all anymore, even in the development process. Existing cell lines, right? I wouldn't be surprised if companies are using existing cell lines rather than new donor animals. Even FDA testing, that's got to be phased out, right? Animal testing, that's got to be phased out at some point. But maybe all of this is for nothing. Maybe we never get clean meat. I mean, technically we already got it, right? Just egg. They also sold some clean chicken in Singapore. I don't know if they're still selling it there or not, but yeah, if you were in Singapore, maybe you got some. And Upside Foods will likely be on the market at some point, not at grocery stores. They're starting with restaurants. They still have to get their facility inspected, USDA inspected, and pass that. And then hopefully soon after that, you'll see them in restaurants. I don't know. The only comparison I really have is Perfect Day Foods. When they got their no questions letter, it was like a year later that I was buying Brave Robot at Kroger. But a couple companies selling clean meat doesn't really mean a whole lot, right? The point of clean meat is to disrupt the industry. The only way you can do that is with cheap meat. Some people believe this is impossible, that clean meat will always be expensive, so it will never be useful in the fight against climate change or animal cruelty. This is what counter editor Joe Fassler basically says, that clean meat is a huge gamble. It's just too finicky and too expensive. Here's a counter to that from co-founder of clean meat company Val, so of course he's got some things to say. He argues that 1, regular cruel meat is getting more expensive. 2, meat is subsidized, right? Not just the meat itself, but also the food, the soy and corn that the animals eat. 3, clean meat is not going to be cost comparable to ground beef and chicken breast anytime soon. This is a long-term goal. 4, people are really bad at projecting cost reductions for new tech. Just look at solar. And 5, essentially that people are really good at figuring shit out. So be optimistic. I personally find a lot of his argument pretty compelling, particularly this part where he talks about clean meat first and foremost being a luxury item, right? It's not going to be cost comparable to ground beef and chicken breasts. It's going to be a special premium product. Of course, like, I don't know why anyone would expect otherwise. That's how it always goes. Look at Brave Robot. Is Brave Robot being sold in Kroger by Breyers and all the other like shit tier cheap ice cream? No, it's being sold in little pints by the vegan stuff, by the premium stuff, the Halo Top and all of that. It's sold as a more expensive specialty ice cream because it is. It's delicious. That hazelnut, oh man, nothing compares. This is what we see with virtually every technological innovation. Costs will come down. I wonder if part of what is happening is companies overselling, right? They oversold their shit. How many times did we hear clean chicken? This company projects their clean chicken on the market next year, and I would go, we'll see, and then nothing would happen. What about Super Meat? Do y'all remember Super Meat? They did a Indiegogo, and I didn't talk about it. I didn't promote it. I certainly didn't donate to them not because I thought it was a scam or anything. I looked into it fairly extensively, into the scientist who was involved. It seemed legit, but the timeline they were giving was just crazy. And of course, now you look them up and they still are not on the market. They project they will be on the market in Switzerland in 2025. Finally, I don't think we really have a choice when it comes to clean meat. Whether you care about animal welfare or not, we cannot continue to feed ourselves this way. It's not only terrible for the planet, it's terrible for us. The zoonotic disease risk alone, I think, makes clean meat a worthwhile endeavor and one that I think the government should be pouring money into. So my non-expertise opinion is that we will see clean meat comparable in price to regular meat, but not for a long time and not without some serious government investment and subsidization, similar to what we've seen with renewable energy. I would love to say, just eat plants. Why are you doing clean meat? Just eat plants. What are you doing? Just get your food directly instead of feeding the plants to the animals and eating the animals, or in this case, the cells from the animals and growing them in a bioreactor. Whether you're feeding the cow or you're feeding the cells, you're still feeding the cells food rather than eating that food. It's still inherently inefficient. It's certainly better than for animals, less cruel, less environmentally devastating, but yeah, plants for the win. And for the most part, inherently less healthy, right? I mean, clean beef versus lentils, no, there's no comparison. Although, I think things are gonna get real weird. So we don't need clean meat, but we do, right? Because people need meat, apparently. They're not going to give it up. Look at all the environmentalists who still eat it. They love meat more than they hate climate change. So that's my view on clean meat. It's not vegan, but that's okay. It has the potential to save trillions of animal and human lives. Oh, and obviously I'm biased. I've been positive about clean meat for many years. I've even donated to Good Food Institute. I haven't given to any companies, but yeah, and New Harvest as well. So yeah, I'm a little more than biased. It would feel bad for me to agree with Fassler's position and say, actually, waste of time, waste of resources. Don't give money to clean meat. Oh, that feels bad. So take what I say here with a grain of salt. But, I really do try to be objective. I've admitted when I've been wrong many times on this channel. I know I should do another I was wrong. I don't know when that's going to happen. I've got way too many videos to go through. The thought of it makes me want to puke. I should just do the last year, right? I should just start and just do the last year instead of going, when was the last one I made? 2018 or whatever. Okay, I need to do 2019 and 20 and 21, 22. Oh no. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope my baby was not too distracting. Just every time I record now, it is grumpy time for baby. So that's been great. I love it. Thank you so much again for watching. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to be notified when I upload. Thank you so much to all my patrons at patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. Probably when I post this, it'll be past, I almost said Halloween, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you had a good one. This is before Thanksgiving, and I'm doing very minimal this year, which I said last year, and I did not. It was a pain in the ass and not fun, but I'm actually going to do minimal. I'm doing my cheese ball. Of course, not my cheese ball, but the Kick-Ass, or I think it's Kick-Ace cheese ball. I don't know. You can find it on the internet, but it's delicious. 6-year-old loves it. 3-year-old, hell no. Don't want anything to do with cheese. Certainly not anything like cheddar cheese. So I got them like a Daya strawberry cream cheese thing and a caramelized onion dip from Trader Joe's, whole bunch of crackers, and then for dinner we're just doing the Gardein roast, and I'm making mashed potatoes, gravy. There's a gravy recipe from Connoisseur's Veg that is fantastic and so easy. Oh, it's so delicious. The maple carrots and some sort of green. I don't know if I'm doing green beans. Actually, I have some Brussels sprouts. I'm probably gonna hate them. People keep telling me I cook them wrong. No, I don't. I do not. I have followed so many recipes over the years, and every time they are so bitter. It's just, I taste bitter things. I'm a super taster. They're just never gonna be good to me. It's very sad. But yeah, Brussels sprouts, maybe some green beans too. I don't know, but it's kind of a lot, but not really. No, because last year I did rolls and, oh wait, no. I told the kids they could help me make gingerbread men, and they can help me make the frosting, and they can decorate them and everything. So yeah, I'm making full dinner and cookies with the kids, which is going to take like triple the time. I did it again, didn't I? I did it again. And 6-year-old does not want to watch the parade this year, which I'm kind of sad about because I kind of like the parade, but I'm the only one. I mean, I like it, but I hate it, right? And I don't want to watch the whatever one you get on YouTube where there's no commentary. I want the NBC commentary. That's so cheesy and bad. I want to see all of the musical performances that I hate and annoy me, but I don't know. I love it. The weird thing is I didn't even start watching that until later. Like, we never watched that when I was a kid. We didn't watch the Macy's Day Parade. When did I start that and why? I don't know. But 6-year-old doesn't want to watch it, so we're not getting live TV. Usually I get live TV for a month just so we can watch the parade. We're not doing that this year, so I'm gonna be sad.